It's 2023 F1 season prediction time. So let's dive into it. The first one is biggest good surprise. My biggest good surprise is Oscar Piastri. I think he is going to be better than what people are expecting him to be. I don't think that just because Daniel Ricciardo had a couple of bad years at McLaren, that means anyone that goes up against Lando Norris will immediately get absolutely smashed. Oscar Piastri has won everything in junior Formula in his debut season, but I still think that a few races in, he won't be as far off as people are expecting. Now, that's not to say that Lando Norris isn't an incredibly tough teammate. I think he's one of the best drivers on the grid. But I also think that Oscar Piastri is actually really good, and that McLaren's lineup this year is probably the most exciting, both from their perspective and having two very sort of up-and-coming talents, but also from our side as fans to see how that relationship unfolds. So I don't think it's too left field to say Piastri will be the biggest good surprise.
My biggest good surprise will be Nico Hülkenberg. I'll just get the main question out of the way. Will he get a podium? No. But that's not to say that he won't be a very good surprise. Haas just need a consistent point scorer. I think they wasted a lot of points, particularly with Schumacher, but even Magnussen. Magnussen did perform very well at the start of the season, but they missed out on a lot of points. And I can see Hülkenberg getting P5s, P6s, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people and just bring in a lot of points for Haas if that car's good at the start of the year.
As long as he is sitting in P5 and P6, if he's sitting in P3, we'll get the barrier ready because we all know what happens with the...
Maybe it's the perfect team for him because Haas are never in a podium spot.
Biggest flop. My biggest flop, and this might be a bit weird for some people, is Pierre Gasly. I think that this move to Alpine, off the back of last year, which was poor, let's be real, both from AlphaTauri's side, but also Pierre Gasly's side, he's going into a new team alongside Esteban Ocon, who some people don't rate. I rate him. I think that he had a great season last year. He beat Fernando Alonso in the Drivers' Championship. Yes, whatever. Yeah, Fernando had terrible reliability and realistically would have beaten him, but that's not to take away from Ocon's great drives that he had over the course of 2022. I think it's going to be tough for Pierre Gasly. I feel like Tsunoda took a step forward in terms of their pace differential last year as well, and Gasly wasn't as clear as Tsunoda week in, week out. And Ocon, they don't get on. I don't think Ocon's going to be like, mate, yeah, that button right there.
They sure are pretending they do, though.
They've tried to squash the rumours, but you don't crop each other out of Instagram photos if you haven't had bad blood at some point. So, yeah, I think he's going to struggle.
I'll just get straight into mine because I have also gone for Pierre Gasly for biggest flop. Yeah, I thought I was being out there, but clearly not.
That validates my terrible opinion. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, knowing our jinxing power, he's going to win the World Championship now. We've both said this. But, yeah, I worried that Gasly might have a bit of a stinker of a season. I mean, a lot of people seem to think that Gasly would beat Ocon next year. I think the total opposite. I think Ocon's bedded in that team. Gasly has struggled before where he's changed team. Like, if you look at Gasly's career, yes, he won a race. I'm not saying he's, like, before all the Gasly stands come at me, I'm not saying he's a bad driver, but if you look at his career, he was all right at Toro Rosso. He got the drive because he was next in line when Ricciardo left. Didn't perform well against Verstappen, but then you can argue that no one really has, but really struggled. Got demoted. The year he was really good, you had Tsunoda, who was really struggling as a rookie. We don't know how good that AlphaTauri actually was with a good, experienced driver in the car alongside Gasly. So I think Gasly's actually quite a difficult driver to judge just how good he is.
Well, we're going to find out this year if he can bed himself into a new team, show the versatility that you need as a driver.
And show that me and you are absolutely washed and know nothing.
I mean, that's been confirmed many times, mate, to be honest with you.
True.
Loses race seat. So for this one, I was kind of broken up into two different thinkings here. One was, I don't think anyone's actually going to lose their seat because it's going to take a lot. But if someone was to lose their seat, I think that Nick de Vries could lose his race seat to Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, spicy.
So he's gone in to AlphaTauri after his super sub for Williams at Monza last year. And don't get me wrong, it was an incredible drive. He jumped in, smashed Nicholas Latifi, scored points on his debut. You couldn't have done any more. But I feel like almost that the whole hectic environment of that sort of played into his hands, where he didn't have the pressure really able to set in. And now that's not to take away what he's managed, but I don't feel like we're able to fully judge how good he is. I also believe that Red Bull are going to be very, very interested to see what Daniel Ricciardo is able to do. So if there is absolute fire going on in AlphaTauri and De Vries is doing terrible, it's not impossible to think that they might just go, all right, Danny Rick, I know that you're Red Bull third whatever driver. Let's just stick you in the AlphaTauri and see what you're like. Because we all need to know, not just Red Bull, we all need to know, is Danny Rick washed?
I have gone boring. And I said that losers race seat, I've gone for no one.
Yeah, but I did that as well. If there was someone to lose their race seat.
If there was, it's not really losers race seat, but I think Fernando Alonso either goes one of two ways. He's either absolutely brilliant, or in 6 races' time, he's completely owning Lance Stroll in every single qualifying session, but Lance is getting the better strategies and just appearing ahead of him all the time. And 6 races in, he's like, screw this, I'm up to win the Indy 500 again, and just walks, because you never know. I mean, Alonso going up against Lance Stroll is going to be a very interesting one.
Okay, well, there you go. You've skirted around the edges of not being boring, but went with basically no, but then maybe Fernando Alonso, but he doesn't lose it. He just sacks in his race seat instead.
Yeah.
He's a loose cannon, isn't he, Fernando Alonso? You don't know exactly what he's going to do or say, and that's what makes him such great entertainment. Okay, we now move on to most accident prone. So for me, I went with Logan Sargent being the most accident prone. It's not the fact that I think Logan Sargent is particularly crash happy. It's more the fact that he is a new kid on the block. He's coming into a team where it's probably not a guarantee that he is going to stay in Formula One for very long unless he is able to show what he's able to do. And that'll just cause problems, cause crashes. You see it so many times with rookies, and I don't think it's going to be any different for Logan Sargent personally.
I have also gone the same. If you look at how Formula One's played out over the last few years, remember the year that Mazepin, Schumacher and Tsunoda came into F1 from F2. Oh my word, did those guys crash a lot. Yeah, unfortunately for him, I think that he might end up being a bit of the new Latifi about him.
Okay, we now move on to new race winner. I've gone for no. I didn't want to be boring, but when you actually look at the grid, McLaren are the only team that you could go, if it's an absolutely ridiculous race and it's Turkey with an ice skating rink for a track, maybe something crazy could happen. But the top 3 teams from last year all have race winners in them now. George Russell's won, Carlos Sainz has won, and of course the rest of them are won. So unless Lance Stroll is going to win in the Aston Martin and Alonso is going to push that team so far forward, I can't see it happening. Because even if you look to Alpine, Ocon and Gasly are both race winners. So you haven't got many options available for a new race winner.
I've also gone boring and gone for no one. We didn't even get a surprise podium finisher last year, never mind a new winner. So the only thing I could see is a McLaren would probably be the surprise winner. But it relies on the top 6 having an absolute disaster. Even now with the easier ways to pass and the fact that you can follow close from the DRS, we're probably not going to have a situation again like an Ocon or Gasly where they can be in a very inferior car and you just can't pass them unless it's Monaco. So I just can't see it happening.
Hopefully it's not going to be like that in 2023. Fingers crossed. Biggest meme on the grid. My biggest meme on the grid for 2023 is going to be Fernando Alonso. I feel like he'll join Aston Martin. Aston won't be particularly good, and we'll just have loads of amazing team radios of Fernando Alonso having a terrible race and coming over the radio and basically talking about how bad his Aston Martin is. I don't want this to happen. I want Alonso to be right at the sharp end of the grid, showing what he can do. And maybe that'll happen. Aston Martin were actually reasonably decent towards the end of the year and scored some good results. But I don't know. I just feel like wherever Fernando Alonso goes, the car either blows up or just is terrible. So it could be another one of those, and then he'll become a meme again. A GP2 engine, all that sort of stuff.
I've gone for biggest meme on the grid as Logan Sargent. If you realistically look at the grid, the drivers and the teams, I can't see anyone other than Williams being quite comfortably last, and Alex Albon's more experienced. So I can just see him being P20 every session, every quali, every race. Do you know what I mean? And it just becoming a bit of a meme there. So unfortunately for him, I mean, you can only do what you can with your equipment, but I can see Sargent becoming the new P20 merchant, if that's what you want to call it.
So do you think Logan will be Logan at the end of the year then?
Well, that's a good one. You should write headlines for tabloids. Logan.
Logan. Hopefully not for his sake. I hope he has a decent season. Who is going to be world champion? All right.
Here we go.
Hear me out. I have gone for Charles Leclerc. I'm backing it to the hills, right? So my brain is saying Mercedes are going to be back, Lewis Hamilton's going to win the world title, but my heart is overpowering me right now. The copium, the hopium, the whatever else, it's got to be Charles Leclerc, because if not, I'm in big trouble, all right? Emotionally, I don't think I can take another year of potential and then it not happening. There's already been some funny stories, and I'm going to say funny because I'm not believing it yet, around Ferrari making some serious engine gains. And look, I lapped that up like
Is it legal?
No tomorrow. Shut up. I absolutely absorbed that. I was like, oh my God, I'm healed. I'm ready for another year of pain. And look, Fred Vasseur, he's gonna whip him into shape. He loves Charles Leclerc. They're gonna make sure that Charles gets the treatment he deserves this year. And that's why he's going to be world champion.
Excellent. I am putting that straight on TikTok and bookmarking it for the end of the season. However, I've gone for the world champion being Max Verstappen, which is actually rare for me because I don't tend to back. I don't tend to jinx it, but I think one of his big pluses will be the fact that, particularly with Mercedes, I do genuinely think that Hamilton and Russell will take points off each other. With their competitiveness, which I think will give Verstappen the edge. I don't believe that Sergio will be on his level, and he's just driving the best he's ever done. I can just see him winning again. Even me, as the most pessimistic Formula One supporter and fan of Max Verstappen, but I do genuinely hope that it's a great battle and he doesn't win it. 6 races to go and finding out from Johnny Herbert.
Anyway, Johnny Herbert's not doing it this year, is he? So you won't hear it from
He's
Johnny
somehow
Herbert
there.
Year, but yeah, that's. I mean, look, if you're a betting person, you're going for Verstappen because he was unbelievable last year. But I think for this world champion prediction, there's definitely more things going on than just pure logic when it comes to at least my prediction. So there you go.
Just stop talking because you're going to convince yourself that you also believe it's Verstappen, but you just
I don't care. Nope, Charles Leclerc. Here we go. Come on, 2023. Let's go. And the final prediction is one crazy prediction. So what one mad thing do we think is going to happen this year? For me, I have gone for Alonso will 23-0 Lance Stroll in qualifying. Now, This isn't going to include any mechanical issues or anything like that. We're talking because I know that Alonso will probably get in his car, turn it on, and then it'll explode. We don't want that. I'm talking about when they both finish qualifying. Okay, I think that's probably a fairer thing. I think every single time Alonso will out-qualify Lance Stroll when they both take part. Stroll is weak in qualifying. Alonso was an absolute beast last year in that Alpine. Could have stuck it on the front row in Australia until he had that problem. He did stick it on the front row in Canada. There's so much pace for a 41-year-old. It's incredible. But it's something that I think, as long as he doesn't leave after 6 races and go to IndyCar, technically that prediction
and become
will
the biggest
still
meme
be,
on the grid.
Yeah, technically that will still be right, because I said everyone he participates in. But yeah, I just see Alonso wiping the floor with Stroll this year.
My one crazy prediction is actually also about Fernando Alonso, but I've gone for he will finish best of the rest. So this is me flip-flopping and going, he's going to have the worst time ever and quit, or also he's going to be absolutely amazing and just be best of the rest. He's going to finish 7th. He's going to have an amazing year. His car's not going to set on fire every single race. There's no one better in a car that's kind of all right than Fernando Alonso. Basically, our predictions are that Fernando Alonso will be the biggest meme on the grid. He will walk out and do the Indy 500, but finish best of the rest, and will annihilate Lance Stroll in qualifying.
I'd love to know how yours really stack up, because they seem very opposite ends of...
Well, technically, my prediction of loser's race seat was no one. You just pressured me into that.
But if something did happen, whereas you actually think he's going to finish 7th. Fair enough. Okay, well, that is it. That is our 2023 F1 season predictions done. I cannot wait to look back on this at the end of the year and realise how awful they were, and that Lance Stroll actually whitewashes Fernando Alonso and becomes world champion, or Pierre Gasly becomes world champion. Lots of things that we have potentially jinxed. Hopefully not the one around world champion in my prediction, but we will have to wait and see. Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are I'm getting that Charles Leclerc clip ready for when you when your end of season video is Vasseur out, Ferrari useless. Why didn't you pit Leclerc again? Why was he on Inters for the first race in Bahrain?
I don't know if I'd rather them win the first race and it be like serious hype, or if they're so far off the pace, I just don't want to watch Formula One anymore. Good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for listening, watching, wherever you are, to this P1 podcast. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're subscribed, you're followed, you're joining us on this crazy adventure. Yeah, we'll see you very soon. Hell yeah. See you there. Bye.
Bye.